Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we are going to be talking Season 7, Episode 6, Beyond the Wall. And joining me today is no stranger to Episode Club and Episode Club podcasts, Johnny B. Crazy, aka Johnny B. Baelish. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing okay, buddy. What's going on there, Guy? How you doing, Guy? Thanks so much for having me on. I'm very excited about this upcoming season of Game of Thrones. It is almost upon us, and I really cannot wait. We have an interesting episode to talk about, to say the least, and I will leave it there for now while we have these awesome people rolling into the chat. What is going on, everyone? I hope y'all are having a fantastic night, and please hit all of Mackenzie's buttons, but respectfully. Okay. All right.
Yes, all the buttons. So, we can kind of just shout out the people who have joined us in the very beginning. So we have Fandom D State, aka BBM, who will be on a few episodes actually coming out this week. Dane McKay, OTDA, Linda Smith, Bill H, Fake Aria, also known as Bravosi Podcast, um, and yeah, we're we're having some good people rolling. And yes, okay, gently press the like button. So we have and Fearless Mermaid Amanda is with us today. So yeah, this episode it was the second fully leaked episode for season 7, and man, it was crazy in terms of logic and what happens in it. And hello, Bobby, my Twitter mom, is also here joining us. But Johnny, where do we want to start today? We've got.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, we kind of saw the white dragon or white Thessarion coming. Uh, hashtag phrasing. And yeah, it was a little bit spoiled for us, and I really hate that. But what can you do at this point besides now we've taken preemptive strikes to really just not look at stuff like it's had to deprive ourselves of content. But I don't know. Would you want to start with one of the shorter places, and then I guess end
we
with
might
everything beyond the wall?
we might as well. So I guess we'll talk about the Stark sisters and their freaking drama um, that happens in this episode. So pretty much, if we don't remember, it's Arya talking to Santa about, first of all, her being able to shoot at a target in the courtyard of Winterfell, which then spawns onto the letter that Santa had wrote back in season 1 when she was forced to write it, and they have a confrontation, to say the least. And Arya is really, really, really weird in this scene, and I don't really like it too much. What do you think about this scene
Uh,
here?
it may have been just a little bit of forced drama. There is, of course, some tension with the girls. They kind of have been on opposite ends of the spectrum as children. So I guess they were trying to play on that. It felt a little forced. But the main thing was how the faces look kind of bothers me. Like I think you were saying when we were watching it earlier that they just look like rubber masks, which they are, but it seems so simple. And she brags about it too much for someone that doesn't want to get caught. She's speaking a little too freely. And you could say, oh, she trusts her sister, but then everything she does in the scene points toward the opposite of that. So it was a little forced. It's okay. It would have been better if they would have at least left the deleted scene in. I think that would have helped a little bit.
Yeah, the deleted scene that was never was that should have been promised. Yeah, if people don't know, there was a supposed scene that happened. I think in was supposed to come out in episode 5, where Santa, Arya, and Bran have a conversation how they're going to trick Baelish. Um, pretty much, and we kind of need that scene. Because without that scene, all of the latter half of season seven's stuff doesn't make sense up until the next episode. Like they're just very confusing. Um, but it's just awkward because Arya is very much like, "Do you want me to tell? Because I can tell." And like you can't use the whole being 12 years old on this because Lyanna Mormont wouldn't act like this. It's like Arya. People are so different. They're not all like you when you were 11, 12 years old. Some people happen to be different at that age. And she also ran away technically from King's Landing at that point. She was just like already a free bird. So
It like I see what Fandom Desane is saying. It wasn't forced in his opinion. They have been on bad terms since season one. But these are terms of when they were both children, and if you're saying that these characters have grown up and have actually matured, then they would put this slightly aside. They play pretty petty right here, which I see where you're coming from, Phantom Desane, but I think it simplifies the characters and does them an injustice for everything they've went through and how much they have grown, if that makes any sense.
yeah, and they also talk about too if each was in the other's situation, how different it might have been, um, and all of that. Like I can only you can kind of speculate like Santa trying to be a faceless man, how that would look, as well as Arya having to be the one to be married off um, multiple times. Like that would be a problem as well. Um,
BBM just made my point for me. Cersei is very, very petty and what would you call it? Immature. So yeah,
mhm,
she definitely still hates Tyrion and blames him for his mother's death, her mother's death,
yeah,
and that's petty on her part. But not saying that Arya and Sansa can't be petty. I'm just saying I didn't like it. Of course,
yeah,
I'm not a writer. You're probably right. I'm always wrong anyway. It doesn't matter. Look at me. This face. Nah. That's right. Nah. Nah, I'm just taking a stab in the dark. My
being
name's Ollie. I love
being
you all. For the watch.
for the watch, for the watch, for the watch. Yeah, it's Arya's in this. It's just like the whole letter thing. It just pisses me off too. It's like why are they bringing this up now? And it's like I could show this to John, and then it's like because if I show it to John, then he might get angry at you. And it's like Arya, really? Like you would have to hold on to that letter for so much longer if you actually wanted to do that. So, but I don't know. Yeah, they're it's I don't know. It just pisses me off that they like try to make them pin each other against one another. And then speaking of that letter, Peter Baelish shows up and Sansa has a conversation with him about this whole letter situation and um, how her power could be waning if this gets out. Um, and
What is
then
the worst possible thing your sister could want?
mhm.
Sansa, answer me. Your sister wants to take your soul. Hello, Sansa. Look, uh, it would be nice to know that she's playing him like a fiddle here. I mean, we do know in hindsight because we've seen this season already, but right here there's a lot of tension, which is pretty good for TV. You're hating the reason there's tension, that she's trusting Littlefinger so much, but you can also argue he's the only one that's been there for her consistently. Poor Sansa. And she seems to forgive what happened with Ramsay a little too quickly. Um, but she set him right into a trap here. This is probably my favorite part of this whole Arya Sansa battle is the way that Sansa kind of just sits there and says nothing and gets Littlefinger to keep talking and talking and digging himself a hole. It's pretty beautiful as far as that's concerned. Um, yeah, Cersei's gonna live too. by the way. I'm just saying that because it makes Phantom Saint happy. You know, it's like a yeah.
You gotta keep fandom decent happy. Yeah, like come on. Everybody else is making him angry. Some people have to be in his corner. Um, but go ahead. No, you're.
Oh no, Bob was saying she doesn't think she ever trusted Littlefinger. She did to the point where she out of all the people in King's Landing, he was the only one that actually followed through on the good things he said he would do, even though that's a good point, Bobby. It's really complicated with her because Sansa at this whole point was putting her mask on and she was playing the Game of Thrones in her head while this is happening. So she does trust him in a sense. He saves her life from a crazy aunt, and like the imagination realm said, these girls are 18ish years old or younger, and well, your emotions are heightened. Everything seems a little bigger than it really is. So yeah, she could fall into a sense of
Yeah,
security, but I think it wasn't long that she trusted Littlefinger. It was only for short amount of time.
yeah. I think probably from the red o- from Joffrey's death to when she's given over to Ramsay is pretty much when she kind of trusted Baelish. Like, that's probably like the only point she ever did. But good point, Bobby. Bobby, yeah, she's very distrusting, and there's the mention of how that Sansa says that she's commanding 20,000 men who answer to John and not to her. But here's Baelish keeps going and sowing the discourse of how you're the person that they want in the end. And even though she believes that if the letter comes out, then they'll all turn against her and essentially John. Because then, like, he also says that if anything was to happen to her, Brienne was going to be there because she was sworn to protect both of Catelyn's daughters. So we could see Sansa using Brienne as kind of like her shield almost, because that's a big debate in season 8 if Sansa needs a bodyguard of sorts during a battle, who would it be, kind of thing.
Well, I think of course, yeah, definitely Brienne. That's you can say that Brienne fulfilled her oath, but then she already pledged her service to Sansa, so definitely, um, we can see that. I think if Brienne does die, she will either die for the Stark girls or saving Jaime's life. But her dying saving Jaime's life seems a little cliche. I feel like Jaime will more save Brienne's life than Brienne saved Jaime because Brienne has already saved Jaime in a sense by keeping him going when he wanted to die after his hand was cut off. She's the one that kept him going. She's the one that kept him motivated and put shit in perspective that life sucks for everybody, not just you, Kingslayer. You know, you lost a hand. People have lost their lives. So just be thankful for that. And yeah, so you could argue that Brienne already saved Jaime's life and brought him back to the world of honor. If that makes any sense. You know, this is a ramblings of a crazy man, so
No, it's completely valid. But then there's also that whole dynamic of one strike, two strikes, three strikes are out. Uh, with it's like first she tried to save Roundley and it didn't happen. She tried to save Catelyn and or she was there for Catelyn and it didn't happen. Now it's like, will something happen to Sansa because of Bran? I don't think so. Um, but it would be such a disservice to her character if they kept her alive for so long and then she gets killed by, say, a white. It it completely like changes Sansa's character to kind of nothing. Um, but I could be wrong. Yeah, and But it's like, what would you want to be? A lady of Winterfell with the Arya thing? Arya's never gonna be a lady. That's something that's been mentioned all the way from season one.
And that's kind of what could have gave us a clue as to Sansa's playing a little game, right? Because she knows Arya doesn't want to be a lady. Now, Arya did make that threat in a sense. I wondered what it would be like to wear your face. But if you really step back and think about it, Arya doesn't want that. She's never wanted that. She even says she doesn't want that. She wanted to be a
Mhm.
guy. That's the farthest thing from her mind. And it's funny rereading the books again and how pissed off she gets when someone calls her a lady or she gets put in a dress. Oh, the dress with all the acorns on it. That shit was hilarious. She looked like a pretty little tree. Um, it's I don't know. It's really good. I love Arya so much, and I hope that she really. Uh, I hope this season everything with her culminates and satisfies me because the Bravos plot really brought me down a little bit. Still love the show, but
Yeah,
as a book fan, it's hard not to have a little bit of a problem with that. Um, but still, best show out there right
yeah.
now. So
And we can right and talk about it. The bag of faces. So, like Sansa sneaks into her room and she finds the bag of faces and she's like, "What are you doing here? Like, what is your bag of rubber masks doing? Whose face is this?" Uh, I don't think for a second that Arya would take Sansa's face unless, like, it the whole like, all I need is your face. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like they didn't even know how to write Arya's character when she like shows up with Sansa. It's just like it crumbles into kind of nothing, and you're just sitting there and just like, what?
it does, but it made me think of something. I was in the chat on Secrets of the Citadel, and they were talking about Beric Dondarrion bringing someone back. I believe they mentioned Arya, but I do. It makes so much sense that Arya is mixed with Lady Stoneheart, right? I think Arya will die, but that's who Beric's going to bring back. Just like he brought back Catelyn in the books. I don't think John's going to be brought back twice. It was. I think bringing back Arya would give you the shock value instead of him bringing back Danny or some more obvious choice. What's going on, Abby? How's it going? And yeah, I think it's gonna bring back Arya a la, Lady Stoneheart. But we will see. I do think she's gonna die to have to get out of her life contract with the Faceless Men. Because as of right now, whatever their end goal is, they're gonna let her do whatever is necessary for them. If it benefits them, they're going to let her keep living for now. But eventually, she's going to have to pay for the magic she's used. This has been a constant theme throughout the whole show. You have to pay for the lives you take, and she will have to give back at some point. I believe this is in the Faceless Men's end game, but I don't know how much they're going to put into that in season 8. We will see. We will see. Whatever.
Yeah. As Fandom Desane says, if they bring Arya back, they pulled the Walking Dead dumpster. I think that was
Oh, if they do
Glenn.
that. Oh, if they brought Cersei back, it'd be award winning, right? Random say, right? If that's what happened, if Cersei got brought back, right? So it just kind of depends if you hate that character or not, huh? What if he's gonna bring someone back, more than likely.
Yeah.
But they could completely go away from that because everyone is thinking that he's gonna bring someone back. So if he doesn't, then that would also be pretty heartbreaking. I do think she lives the imagination realm, but she's gonna have to go through at least a metaphorical death to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Unless she just, somehow bombs the House of Black and White with dragon fire or like wildfire or something. I don't know how she could get away from it.
No, because that's a huge thing. Is her,
Run, I guess, west of Westeros, right?
but you'd have to take a boat west of Westeros.
Tila says if Arya dies, I'll lose my shit. Yeah, I know, right? I don't want her to die. I think that's why I'm going for this metaphorical death because the foreshadowing's there for her to die, but I don't think she is going. I think she's gonna have to go through another bit of
Mhm.
metamorphosis. Um, I think
Phantom
she will
Beast.
live physically, but I think Arya Stark of Winterfell will be dead by season 8. That actual name, that persona will be dead. That's
Yeah,
my opinion.
yeah, because she has to kind of go back to the House of Black and White, or what was that entire purpose? What Because that's a thing that she kind of brings up is that with the whole thing about the faces, and it's like I learned how to be a knight, and while you got to sew all the time, um, but that's not being a knight, Arya. Killing people and taking their face—that's not being a knight. That's a servant of the many-faced God, and that that's what that is. It's it's not being a knight is protecting people, not killing people uh, just because you don't like them, uh, in some sort of thing. Like I don't know, and this whole Winterfell plot is just makes me just go erg. Um, yeah, because I don't know. Like they could have done so much better, and these scenes without John had so much promise, and now it's just dumpster fire, slightly.
I feel like they needed a little bit of drama there to cut back and forth. Um,
Mhm.
I guess. I'm not going to complain too much. It could have
No,
been far worse, but it could
yeah,
have been better as well. So I won't harp on it that much. I think we're
yeah.
getting too negative. This show's about to, woo! Game of Thrones is good.
Woohoo!
Can you wait? Kind of Thrones. Oh my god, it's going to be so fun. Who's ready? Who's ready in the chat?
Who's
Mm-hmm.
ready? 4 more days or 3 more days, depending on where you are in the world.
Hey,
Um,
Arya, we're gonna have to elaborate on that theory because I need to do something about Arya because she is
mhm.
my favorite character. I have to do something on her this season. So I like what you're throwing down there. So we'll have to talk
You're,
about
uh,
that.
you're
Well,
picking up what she's throwing down. I see him. So,
imagine that. So you're bringing me down, man. Sorry. Oh
so
goodness.
we can kind of
Ready?
talk about.
Not ready? I'm ready. Okay. You want to do our little break?
Oh yes. So,
New segment on our shows.
just 1 second.
So
You want to
we
set
have
it
a
up?
new little thing we're doing, brought to you by the Imagination Realm. Ding-ding-ding. Imagine like stars and like sparkles or something. Yeah. Hmm. So we'll be doing a little bit of news, I guess, so to speak, and showing off the glory that is the Imagination Realm. And while Sasa's pulling all that stuff up, what are y'all's? Hmm. Let's see. What do you think's going to happen in the first episode? Do you think anyone's gonna die given the rating as far as yeah, imagination realm. There we go. Set to Shayna's secrets. What is up? Yeah, I hope it was worth the wait too. Oh my
I
goodness.
know.
It better be. The problem is I don't want to hype it up too much in my mind to be there for a letdown because I feel like you can like make yourself put yourself a little too high up and you're just setting yourself up for failure if you don't get exactly what you want. So I'm trying not to go crazy. I think it's going to be good though. They put a lot of work into it, so I hope so. Go ahead, Salsa.
Yeah, they put a lot of work. But as you all know, the Imagination Realm has been a great supporter of a lot of Game of Thrones channels, and they were kindly enough to send this document over that they have come up with all of the latest news from Game of Thrones and what's coming up next. This was for this week specifically. It's almost like a newsletter of sorts. So it's like what's happening in this. So it's like a recommended recap that's in the corner over here. Um, where it's talking about watch what specific episodes we need to watch, whose content to look out for, the types of YouTube channels. So from Game of Thrones content channels to the YouTube itself, as well as check out other channels for like live streams, uh, and to watch Kit Harington on SNL, um, as well as what to do for season 8, to make predictions, to get out your HBO subscriptions, to study all the scenes, as well as prepare yourself for all of the merch. And then talking about said merch, the Imagination Realm themselves have a merch collection on Teespring. I have linked her links in the description, as well as the Game of Thrones related merch that's come out. So I know that there was a Mountain Dew can that if you, I think it was if you had said what you would give up for, I think it was for the Iron Throne or something like that, then you would win a can and it'd be sent to you in the mail. Urban Decay, a popular makeup brand, had collaborated with the show, and they're coming out with a few bits and pieces, as well as the Game of Thrones Oreos. I personally can't eat them, gluten allergy problems, but I know, Johnny, if you could get your hands on them, you would probably start munching on those for season 8, the premiere, as well as some Funkos, which I know BBM or fandom loves to talk about. Yeah, as well as some things from Adidas to the wine, as well as the HBO shop. And there is recommended posts to check out for their channel, as well as, if I can scroll down, it's just the back of this is just basically to get into their fantasy league. So go check out the Imagination Realms website.
Your sister just got 3 packs of Oreos and won't share around. Oh man, that sucks. Just see if you can sneak one. Whatever. I gotta
And
have some in milk. Oh my gosh. Just wait for them to sink and scoop them up with a spoon.
yeah,
Anyway,
and then there's some articles to check out and their information, as well as updates on the prequel.
we
So
got anything there? What we got there we can look at right now.
hold on. It says, get your fill of Get Dragons, because the Game of Thrones prequel won't have any. Wow. I did not know that. Well, because it's at 1,000 years. So, kind of hard to say. As well as HBO CEO calls Game of Thrones prequel show something special. That's from Winter is Coming. HBO prequel adds 5 cast members. I think we have who they've added, as well as everything we need to know about the Game of Thrones prequel so far, and that's from Forbes website. So, but if you haven't checked out Imagination Realms Facebook group, go check that out. It's awesome. It's growing. I think they is about just over 100 members of that group. It's an awesome group. It's very tight knit right now, but it's a great fandom group where the Imagination Room shares a lot about news articles, her own blog and website. It's just awesome, and she's a great supporter of a lot of people's channels. So go support her and her blog, because hey, not everybody does YouTube, but they always do something geeky related.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. There's a lot of juicy stuff, a lot of creative, fun, interactive type polls, games, like round robin tournaments, and who wins and who dies with all these different scenarios. Like, it's really good. So go check it out. Also, what's up, Peter Griffin? Gendry did break the 4-minute mile record. He broke it by a long shot. He went 2 minutes. Also, I think he ran an actual marathon. Uh, he did declare Nike, which means victory. And he should have dropped dead, but he got saved in the end. This was really funny now that I go back to it, but we'll touch on that later. By the way, Friday I'll be having a stream, And we'll have a little news segment from the imagination realm on every stream for the most part. Like Fridays and Mondays, I'll be doing streams around nooner time, so that'll be around 2 p.m. Eastern. If you can, check it out. If you're at work, pop in your headphones, give us a listen, be bad. Remember, hit all the buttons again. All right. Stop being weird now. Um,
Sorry.
oh, no problem. Thank you, Imagination Realm.
No problem at all. Gotta support people who support you. That's what we do in the community. So now I guess we will talk about pretty much. I guess do we want to start with the walk and talk, or do we want to talk about Danny's talk of Succession?
I guess
And
we'll go ahead and talk about the little sad. Yeah, I can't stop being weird. Fandom design is part of my allure. No, we can go ahead and talk about the little Danny scene, I guess, and then we'll
so
get to the meat that is a white polar bear.
yeah, so basically Tyrion and Daenerys have a conversation about Jon and his stature, um, as well as what is the line of succession if Danny is to die. Um, as well as all of the things that she did, quote unquote, wrong in the last couple of episodes. So, what did you think about this? If you have stepped away, it's okay. What I kind of think about the whole line of succession thing, it's a valid question Tyrion is asking. It's like, what are we supposed to do if some way, somehow, you don't get to see your entire vision play out? Because like he says, not everything is seen in a single lifetime. How are we supposed to establish what comes next after you? And she gets pissy. She's like, why are we talking about me dying? Why don't you plan for the short term, which is getting me to sit on the throne, instead of talking about what happens, excuse me, to me after you sit on the throne? It's just like, Danny, he's trying to plan much farther ahead, especially because when you ask him about like the whole thing about the plans failing, he's trying to make it better in the end. Plus, especially when they're talking about the whole thing with Jon and why he's so short compared to Drogo, Jorah, and Dario. It's like, yeah, kind of is, because in real life, I think Kid is like 5'6" or something like that. His IMDb page is kind of a lie because I think Sophie's supposed to be like 5'10", and if Kit Harington's supposed to be 5'9", that's they're, if you look at them side by side, even with her in heels on, they're not the same height. But Johnny,
Peter Griffin. Danny reminds me of one of those billionaires who leaves all their money to their cat. She would probably make Drogon her heir. Oh my goodness, her baby. That's a good point. We see this here, she's being really picky. And maybe she's trying to lie to herself that she doesn't have feelings for Jon just because she knows it's not advantageous to her ultimate goal. But if you look at it, that might be why she pushed through. This is the King of the North, and maybe he wooed her in the end. Hell, I have no idea. John's a sexy dude. What the hell am I supposed to do about it? Whatever's happening here. I just know boat sex got creepy later. Um, you know, it, she realized she kind of insults Tyrion here with the short joke and kind of quickly makes up for it, which is whatever. Just stand by your joke. Just deal with it. Um, and you know, Tyrion stands up here and really kind of tells her what he thinks. And to Danny's point, she makes a decision for herself instead of waiting too long at this point, which is the perfect timing. And we know what happens after that. So she gets to fly her dragon at light speed all the way to Beyond the Wall. Now, I wonder. Now, this is what happened, I think. I think we don't see this because the timeline just a little messed up, but I think she picked, Drogon picked Gendry up with his feet and then dropped Gendry off at the wall a little bit outside of camera shot. They didn't want us to know about it. It was kind of secret. But I'll shut up with my bullshit now, and I'll let you go.
No, it's fine. Good night, Fake Aria. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you in the chat. But yeah, the whole joke thing about the height is just like, ugh, really? Because that's I guess the one thing that Kit is flawed with is either being short and something else being short. So, hey. But yeah, Danny receives the Raven from Beyond the Wall, and she's like, "Well, I have to go. My new boo or potential new boo wants me to save him and his friends, so I gotta go." And but Tyrion's like, "The most powerful person in the world cannot go off to the most dangerous place in the world." I think, by all standards, I don't think Beyond the Wall is the most dangerous place on Earth, quote unquote, or what was once called Planetos by people. I think Skagos is probably more scary than Beyond the Wall, but hey, it's the TV show.
I guess Old Valyria is really scary as well.
Yeah,
All manner of horrors come out of that place,
yeah.
including weird body fireworms or whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're fireworms. Jury's still out for the most part, but it does seem like fireworms. The more I've looked into it, the sounds they make, correlating it with other texts from other sources besides Fire and Blood. Anyways, I'll shut up.
No, it's okay. And Danish just she fly away. Um, but two, it's also the fact. Oh, I forgot to touch on this. It's the fact of when Tyrion says, "I promised that I wouldn't make you. I would keep you in line." She's like, "You're taking your family side in this," and he's like, "Yeah, I am." So he's admitting to the fact that he's on technically the Lannister side for like a tiny bit. Which, ooh, although I personally don't think Tyrion would betray her. To the fullest extent, I feel like is playing both sides, um, slightly. But anyways, yeah, Danny just flies on her dragon, and this is physically impossible for them to just fly straight there. They need a dragon break, um, and so does she. But anyway, um, what? What are
Yeah,
you
you're saying the
giggling?
whites are sneaky. No, man, they ride a snowstorm in on surfboards. I saw the Night King on a surfboard. I don't know where I'm going with this. Um, Fantastic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, we got the last hero and his 12 companions, and
Mm-hmm.
wow, couldn't they have did a little more with this? Instead of, well, I wish they would have had a slight more adventure. This is my segue into it. And uh, yeah, they fought the white bear, but they pretty much went straight to their destination. They had to streamline this a bit, but you could argue there was a lot of filler in this episode, a lot of nothing. I think John trying to give Jorah back Longclaw maybe should have waited till they thought they were going to die. Uh, I don't know if that was the best choice to try to give back your weapon beyond the wall. Sure, but he could have gave it to him a while back instead of just waiting. I don't know. It just seemed weird. It, I Most of it's okay up until we get to the perfectly placed pack of whites. Um, and I ain't gonna lie, I did kind of like the white polar bear, even though they were kind of dumb at how they approached fighting it. Um, it still was really cool to see that, and actually see Thoros put his flaming and Barrett put their flaming swords into action in a sense where we see, this white polar bear just light a flame and sizzle and crack, but keep coming and keep trying to eat them. It was pretty badass. But to know that that's why we got less ghosts, it's bittersweet. Like the ending's gonna be right. And who knew I could talk about this for so long? Go ahead, Salsa.
Yeah, so they do a walk and talk. Is pretty much what happens with this episode, or this part of this episode, and we get all of the conversations that we always wanted. Tormund, John, and Gendry talk about being beyond the wall, being in the north, and Tormund making some you could say a crude statement, but hey, it's not wrong. And with John being like, Tormund, I can finally breathe up here. It's like, you were up in the north. It's like, you were in Winterfell. That's the north. It's like, no. So, yeah, and to get the Gendry uh, scurrying off for a second, and Tormund's like, is he a good fighter? And it's like, yeah, Davos says he is, so I guess so. And then, yeah, you get the Hound and Tormund, you get the Hound with Gendry and Thoros and Beric, and you get Beric and Jon. So I know, John, you've had a kind of a thought about Beric and Jon and what kind of they talk about, and how it's while we're here kind of thing.
Yeah, so it seems like maybe they're setting up Jon to die again, and I really don't hope this, but these couple of lines, like you said, while we're here, until we go, we have to do everything we can. And we know Beric's probably gonna die, and it's could be foreshadowing for Jon dying, but it could also just be a red herring as well. I do sorry. I do think it very redundant for Jon to die again. Also, Tormund and the Hound, fantastic. Um, it was Brianna fucking Toth. It was just really good. And yes, um, Dick. I'm not gonna say the whole thing because it'll get us in trouble, but I
Yeah.
like it. This man is truly comfortable with his sexuality, even when he just doesn't question it. He doesn't really care. He is just confident. He's
Yeah.
whatever you say, that's not him. If it's not him, he's not gonna worry about it. I kind of love that. And with Jon, I think it's possibly, now that I think about it, them setting up Jon almost drowning at the end, right?
Yes.
Red herring. Yeah, I say red herring like once every month. So good luck getting drunk on that. Even though I've said it twice now and 3 times, so there's 3 shots for you. But you'd be better off getting drunk to my Peter Baelish voice, which I won't do. It just threw me off. I don't even know what I was saying.
You were kind of talking about the conversations that they were having, and the about being John with the drowning situation.
Oh yeah, I just think it might have been foreshadowing and making you feel like, because I did feel like when he drowned, I was like, are they really gonna kill Jon again? Because if you think about it, he's in this freezing water. He's already cold. The shock of this is going to be hard for him to pull himself out. Yes, he pulled himself out. But honestly, he's got 15, 30 minutes before he's dead. And I know the horse didn't make it back to the wall that fast. And he didn't get naked immediately, which is the first thing you do when your clothes are wet like that. Even though it seems counterintuitive, you want to be naked because it's going to be way colder. Now, they did break the crust off of him like a pie later, but hashtag hot pie. Jon is hot pie confirmed now.
John is a hot pie. Yeah, and Abby with the white polar bear, I think D&D had been wanting it since season 2 or season. It was like when they started bringing in the white. I think really season 4 was when they really had been asking religiously about it. And the CGI and special effects people were like, we don't have the budget. We don't have the budget. We don't have the budget. And then when this script had come up, they're like, okay, fine. We'll do the white polar bear now. But yeah, the whole thing with the white polar bears and the white animals, it's like, yeah, well, they have the horses. It's just the mice and all of the small other things that can become white. And apologize for the sirens in the background. City 11 people. But yeah, Thoros gets killed by the white bear, and it's just what a sad way for such a great person to go, especially after talking about how he was so drunk when they went to Pike.
Hashtag find the button. That's what Thoros was. He was a legendary drinker and a legendary warrior who used that flaming sword to base most like greener knights would flee or get rattled a little bit by it. You know, it's a tactic that he's used the whole time. Doesn't make him any less formidable, but he was a could drink Robert Barath more than Robert Baratheon, you know. Supposedly. He had a big thirst. So I think he like Robert, well, I wouldn't say Robert was functional. I would say that Thoros is a functional um whatever you would call it, alcohol, whatever. I don't know if he's an alcoholic. He drinks all the time. In this world, everybody has to drink all the time. So I don't know about. I guess you could call him a lush or something of that nature. But he loves his wine. He loves his rum. Actually, that's his drink of choice. So, oh, I can't stay unmuted, Phantom. Just saying, you hear Franco humping his bed back here, or my mom doing the dishes. But what was I saying?
You're talking about Thoros and being a legendary fighter.
Right. And the last little bit, I mean, I think he just felt like he knew he was gonna die, and he was basically accepting it. He gave his life for the Hound. And why? Did Thoros see something in the flames he didn't tell anyone?
Maybe.
That's a good question too. What do y'all think? Do you think that Thoros saved the Hound because he liked him, or do you think he saw something in the flames that made him want to save the Hound? Or was it the fact that the Hound could see into the flames? That, you know, Thoros was like, oh, wow, there's something special about this. Because even Beric Dondarrion seemed surprised when the Hound could look into the flames and actually see something. So,
Yeah. Maybe a combination of all three. We never know. Or as Fandom says, the Lord of Light has a plan for the Hound. Possibly. But will he be rewarded with all of the... Now I have background noise. D.
it's all good. Where do we get? You know, after this,
There's the conversation with about Ned, because I got to bring in back Ned into the conversation, especially because it's this is your father whole thing. My father did this, and or it's like my father wanted to your father wanted to kill me. Like, not really, but kind of. And it's like John, like the writers wanted to mess up the cosplay for like 5 minutes. It's like later on with the Dora having long claw.
oh, the long claw. Well, I mean, they're it's with the connect. You know, Eddard's the one that set this in motion. So I would say that Beric, for one, that was I don't know if it was his. No, it's not his liege lord, but that was the hand of the king at the time who sent him, sent Harwin out, who was one of Ned's men, and a couple of a few other people to go get the mountain. And he knew how great Ed was, and I think he may have heard something about John. And everybody kind of has. And the fact that they've both been resurrected has to be super rare, right? The you know them coming together isn't by accident. I think in the end, somehow Beric Dondarrion will have some information on how to defeat the Night King. Here in this episode, you see him say, "Why don't you just fight him?" But I think, given Beric's tendencies, maybe he can show John how to see something in the flames. This may give the opportunity for John to let Melisandre back for a moment. If John sees some type of prophecy, I think at this point he's a little more willing to be open to it. Not open to Melisandre, but if he sees that Melisandre is the greater part of a whole, he might be willing to use her. Given everything he's been through, he's made all these mistakes, and I think he's going to take advantage of every opportunity he can, because you can't let personal feelings get in the way of the extinction of mankind as we know it. Technically, it's not all mankind. It's just kind of happening in Westeros all the way down to Dorne. But I will shut up now, and hopefully the background noise is good. Did I fill up the time right?
Yeah, I think
Is that good
so.
for you? I just talked about nothing. So
Yeah, the dishes are being done behind me, so it's just a little background noise. But apologize. Yeah, it John with all of these men is just, it's nice to see that he has kind of a new band of brothers, since he's not with the men of the Night's Watch anymore. But yeah, they come upon the group of whites and the White Walker that supposedly created them all minus one, and they devised the plan to capture at least one of them. This was nuts, but
okay, so this is a setup for kind of showing that if you kill the one who turned them, the others will die, right? The problem is, why did only one have to be left alive? The only way that if this is a bigger part of the plan, and we have to assume that the Night King saw this through a green dream, through the Weirwood net, through the same way that he saw Bran. And I believe, he is Bran on the opposite end of the spectrum. He could be a three-eyed raven gone wrong, or just a Stark in general. But I just don't like how it's so convenient that they left one alive. Um, it was just a little too easy. Then the whites come and they get trapped in the middle of the lake. And if the Night King was smart, he would have just sent the White Walkers in a single file line across the lake, right? Instead of just having them all envelop and then just fall through the ice. So it leads more to the fact that he was trapping them there until the time was right. But, you get a wrench thrown in it or a rock thrown in it when the Hound is doing this and seemingly entices them to come after him. So I struggle with this. I struggle to know what the plan was here. Right? I feel like definitely the Night King had to have planned this the whole time.
yeah,
You got the chains from Hardhome. You got, which is the only place I could think of. You get the chains. It's a big port town, so they would have ships. They would have the chains. If you worried about them
Hard
in
Home
water,
Depot.
I'll just walk on the bottom of the water. He could sacrifice those. They're not necessarily going to die, and I don't think it was salt water. I don't know. I'm getting too much into this. I need to let you talk.
Yeah, you go to the Hard Home Depot, and it's like the Fearless Mermaid says, a dragon trap. But Otila's comment was very funny because it is the line in the show where it says, "I thought you were the bravest man I had ever seen, just the drunkest." I'm surprised none Drinks and Nose didn't ever pick up on that line after the show had happened. But thank you, Imagination Realm, and for joining us. It's awesome, and we're always happy to share anything that you do. But yeah, the whole situation with them going beyond the wall, and then the rocks, and like the Hound, they really just mess up that whole thing when Sandor throws the rocks across the lake, and then that's when the big clash kind of happens, and you're just like, come on. There's no, I guess this is called the Beyond the Wall battle. Like, there wasn't really a specific name given for this battles, I would say. But yeah, it's just there's a big clash that kind of happens, and then at the best moment possible, the very last second, Daenerys shows up with all of the three dragons, and in a blaze of glory, almost, and yeah, she shows up and she kills a whole bunch of them, but then a dragon does become a slave. So, Joy.
Uh, you know what? There's we could talk about a little bit here, right? It's a bunch of fighting a little bit. I would say I don't know. It was pretty good. A little bit tense with the people falling through the ice. We thought Tormund was done for, right? That would have sucked. But they. I would argue that they should have killed someone in this. Someone should have died besides Thoros. I know Thoros got killed by the bear. I just feel like that kinda sucks. Why not get
Yeah.
killed by the Night King? Why don't the Night King killed a dragon, right? Yes, but I still feel like this should have cost them a little more because this is the Game of Thrones. Uh, it almost felt a little too tame for what I've seen in the past. I'm not saying I want my favorite characters to die, but it makes me wonder if they're what their motivations are at this point. Um, Danny coming in, I mean, that was awesome scene. How she just blasted up the icy lake, even though we know more than likely a dragon's not going that far. It was still pretty cool. Um,
Because dragons are temperamental in the cold.
you could see there has to be some kind of reasoning here. Why did the Night King choose to kill Viserion instead of Danny and Drogon, right? Why didn't he choose to take out the threat? Seems like he has this very long end game
Yeah.
here, and this goes back to him being connected to Bran, and it very possibly Bran being the Night King,
Mm-hmm.
which could be okay. I don't know how happy I would be with that. That would be
Mm-hmm.
super. I don't know how I would take that. I'd have to see it first. Um,
Yeah.
But it leads me more to think that that's what's going on because the Night King has to know what's going to happen and what the movements are. Now, you can argue ever since he touched Bran, maybe he can see through Bran's eyes now, as well as his third eye. And that gives him this ability to know what's happening in his future and past timeline, and it gives him another source to pull information from, that being Bran.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to make up all this, or not make it up, but I have to do
Think about
all
it.
of this to make it connect. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That's a lot of work.
Yeah. Especially
But
for a
it's
show
fine
watcher.
because I like doing stuff like that. But
Yeah, because it's just a lot more work for like a show watcher kind of perspective to do that. And yes, after seeing Secrets, they did have a couple red shirts. Those, all the red shirts and Thoros were the ones to die beyond the wall. Uh, and Benjen, but that comes in a tiny bit. But yeah, they don't count. They're not like a named character. It's like the only two named characters that die beyond the wall are Benjen and Thoros. But yeah, Danny shows
he
up,
was
and
already
there's
dead, though. You can't kill Benjen.
yeah,
And then the fact that he just comes out of the middle of the white pack,
mm-hmm,
like what, he was just chilling in there acting like a white the whole time? Which,
yeah,
okay, I guess. I don't know, man. I don't
yeah,
think Cold Hands is dead. I mean, unless they ripped him apart, but he's
yeah,
still twitching somewhere. He's still undead. But you could
mm-hmm,
say, oh, they took the dragon glass out of his heart, but then he would just turn into a regular white.
mm-hmm,
So we might see that. Could see some weird stuff like that. I don't know how far the Night King's mind games will go, but
mm-hmm.
I think the Night King's gonna pull some mind games for real. That's
There's
something
something
that
to it.
I don't know that many people are talking about. He's gonna go for the gut, and I think he's gonna pull some horror strings. I think he knows what affects people.
Mm-hmm.
We might be underestimating his power, if that's even possible.
Maybe,
Maybe.
but yeah, then there's that whole everybody climbs on the dragon, and then John just has to be that stupid brave warrior and get himself drowned. Almost. Not too much, Dark Mother, but we're just talking about the Beyond the Wall scenes with John drowning almost and then coming back. We haven't covered this episode on Episode Club yet, but it will be out by the weekend, Saturday maybe. Where I think it's in episode 5, the Maesters talk about how Aegon the Conqueror, the Kraken god, the Drowned god, wanted to rise up and kill Aegon the Conqueror. So, did the Drowned god save Jon in that moment? Who knows? Or save him for another time? Maybe, I don't know. But that'd be it's kind of funny how it's like rose up to kill Aegon the Conqueror, but the Drowned God kind of saves Jon in that moment.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, the only thing I think John actually did, because you're not gonna swim in that. Like when you head home, you're not gonna he'd have to like sink to the bottom and then try to jump back up. Maybe that's what I would do. Like try to sink to the bottom and use your legs. But if it's deep as shit, you got issues there. I see. I'm trying to poke hole. I'm thinking about it too hard. We can't think about it that much. This was a casual episode. Casual watch episode. This was just a sit back, don't think about nothing, eat your popcorn episode. Take that for what you will. That's John. We got a semi cheap thrill with John almost dying, and he come back and he gets saved. We get a shout out to Cold Hands / Uncle Benjamin, which is good, but you feel like the Night King would know he's there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did love the way John was walking just like a White Walker when he got out of there, because I swear I was like, is that just a random White Walker? When I first saw the episode, I didn't even think about it being John because he was walking just like a zombie. What's up, Ben? Cheers, my friend.
And everybody you can, I guess, Ben, it's Ben's little one's happy birthday. So that's Ben's in the chat today, so he's celebrating baby Ramsey's birthdays today.
Happy name day to the little himself. Hopefully, I'll just say it again just in case I dropped. Happy name day for the skin pillar himself.
The little baby Ramsey. Yes. So
you just need a pet Reek now.
Pet Reek. And then there's always Clovis, which is Luke's little one.
That name, man. Clovis. Like that's a name you want your child to have if you want to reprimand him, because it's a good name to you. Clovis. It's got that real hard end to it. Just you could get at it. Sorry, Johnny, be crazy tonight. I am so excited for season 8. Y'all give me some hearts if you're excited for season 8.
Yeah, you haven't done content for your like you haven't been on a stream for a day, and you're just like going. You get in the shakes.
Right, it's been 2 days, I think. So yeah, I'm really fiending.
You're getting all shaky. Yeah, John kind of comes back to the wall, and Dany's just sitting there waiting. She's like, "Where's John? Where's John? Where's John?" And then Viserion is not Viserion. Rhaegal is kind of just crying out for his brother Viserion.
That was sad. That was probably the saddest moment of the whole show. Just take book knowledge aside and just think about the loss there and the dragons, the emotion they show. I thought that was really cool. That was one of the coolest things to me about it.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. Cool shot.
It's like
we must go.
Yeah, the baby brother, like the brothers that just. Rhaegal doesn't have his brother anymore. It's just him and Drogon, which is just it's like, oh, now I have to deal with my older brother. God dang it! But yeah, we also get a goodbye scene with Tormund and Beric as the Hound is loading up the White into the boat, and then we get Jon on the boat after, and they rip off all of Kit Harington's clothes, and we get to see all the scars, and Dany gets to see all the scars.
He was flexing so hard right there too. He just flexing like, oh, look at my riblets.
It's like you gotta flex real hard, and then it's like with all of the scabs, and just Danny just like in awe of the fact that he actually has got all of these open wounds, and that he's come back. And then they have a conversation on this boat, and this is where things get dicey with me with this. But it's like John being like, "Danny, you are my queen." It's like, no, no. Before I start going on this rant, take it away.
Okay. First off, okay, they could be in love, whatever. But after a near-death experience, everybody's horny. So I don't know how much you want to read into it, right? So has it built up a little bit? Slightly. You could say they've flirted at each other in a manner to like, I don't like you, you're ugly type thing, a little bit of hazing back and forth, but nothing to the point of this. And then all of a sudden, uh, it looks like everything changes when she sees his body. But, or, maybe the scars, right? She realizes that being stabbed through the heart, this is a literal term. And maybe she's never met a man like this before. I'm trying to defend maybe the love route here. But when you know what they did on set by actually trying to make him uncomfortable the whole time during this love scene by putting Rose Leslie's face everywhere, all over the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so why were they trying to make this uncomfortable? Was it because John is doing something that he doesn't necessarily want to do? Is he playing turncloak in a sense like he did Beyond the Wall?
Mm-hmm.
No, they could still be in love. But
Yeah.
John needs her,
Mm-hmm.
militarily for the world. Like, he needs her. So you can't take that out of account. And they don't know each other yet, is another thing. They still have revelations about one another they have to get over. So I wouldn't say they're in love yet. That potential's there. It could happen, but they're gonna have to stumble across some crazy shit, and they're gonna have to deal with being aunt and nephew and all that good stuff. So
I'll freaking bet. Oh my god! But no,
the fearless mermaid.
it's not that I don't like. It's just I don't mind it. It's just it could have been done a lot better. Their progression of a quote unquote believable love story. Rob and Celeste, yes, they had like 2 seasons or like a season and a bit to be together, to fall in love, and all of this stuff. But from the time that they met to the time that they got married, it was like a lot of nice, romantic, cutesy scenes together. And it's like every pretty much romantic relationship that was put together had a development of sorts that was cute, and that they would smile at each other and be giggling, like hee. Like John Danny just pretty much goes from I don't really like him because he's kind of too short to I don't have time to fawn over Daenerys because we have no time to then just boat sex in the next episode. So it's just it could have been developed a little bit more. They could have cut other scenes in a sense to just add in more of that mushy gushy stuff. Like even in the script, I think it was for episode 4, um, it was so, it's like this is when D&D said that John and Danny were supposed to be falling in love was the cave scene. But Kit Harington admits he's like, was this supposed to be the scene that I was supposed to be in love with her for? It's because he didn't know it wasn't indicated in the scripts at all that this was.
Hold on, but if you think about it, how the hell are they supposed to fall in love? We work together to defeat the Night King. You see this dragon glass? This means we're in love now. You see this dark cave? I had Egret in the cave. It's its nature. Help me, Danny. Am I wooing you? Are you swooning right now? This is Trolley Lolly Lala Day.
No, don't use Trolley Lolly
But
Day.
I don't, it didn't seem like that. It seemed more of a, hey, we need your help. We need an alliance, more of a pact
Yeah,
of, you could say ice and fire, but John's is ice and fire. You would have to take, I,
yeah.
I don't see it there. I don't see that. I feel like they may be trolling us with this. They could set us up for the okie doke. Everybody thinks they're going to be together. Everybody wants, oh, they'll get over the problems they have. Is that real life, though? Is
No,
this going to be hunky dory? Is just Cersei going to be the bad guy after the Night King's dead, and then
that's
that's all we get? Like, I don't think that's it. And I don't think Danny's necessarily going to be the bad guy.
no,
Just because both of them oppose one another does not make either one of them a bad guy. Danny and John, that is. So,
we're making
whatever.
we're
Stop
making dark.
lolling so hard, Dark Mother. How dare you?
Yeah, help me, Danny, on the battlefield.
On the
Yeah,
bottle, Danny, on the battlefield.
yeah. But this just as I do the rewatch, and as I pretty much said when I first watched this strikes political John in the best way possible. This is pretty much him doing kind of the same thing that he was doing with Egret, if we're
And
being honest.
supposedly D&D and Germ have supposedly said that this never happened. I don't know though. I mean, it definitely like Sansa's not set up to just be the wardeness of the North. That's not happening. She's gonna be the damn queen. Like there's, I don't know what you're supposed to do. Am I frozen right now?
No, it was me.
It's you.
It
Okay.
was me that
I
dropped.
was just, she's gonna be queen, like in some shape or form. Maybe not queen how we see queen, but she's gonna help build the future. This is what she's been set up to do the whole time. She hasn't learned all this. She's the one that's learned the most about the Game of Thrones. She's the one that has literally went to Game of Thrones school, and for
The
all that to
Academy.
go for nothing. I, I'm not saying Sansa's my favorite character, but you have to respect her. You have to understand what she's done, what she's been training for. Arya's been training her whole life too to be an assassin. Sansa's been training to lead. Two different things. They're
Yeah.
both very strong women, female characters that are magnificent, but that dichotomy, the opposite ends of the spectrum that they're on, is just beautiful. Both powerful. They went through all this hell to get to where they are, and
Mm-hmm.
not for no. That's why I don't think Arya's gonna physically die. But
Yeah.
yeah, hashtag Sansa forever, Otila. Otila.
And
All right, damn
forever.
it. That's a little crazy tonight. Screen
Yeah.
haul.
No, it's fine. There's only two of us tonight, so why not? We get to talk all we want, and then pretty much the last scene is just the Night King getting Ice of Viserion. But since we're on the kind of topic of these two, um,
I
yeah,
disagree with that, Catherine. I disagree with that. Training to be a wife. Are you trolling me, Catherine?
maybe.
That's a messed up
But
statement.
that's the stupid. That brings up the next thing. It's like, whose wife is she training to be? Tyrion's again? No.
In the
Like, I
books,
really
you could
don't
say there's
want.
some slight foreshadowing. I would say more of the Sansan in the books because of how she thinks of him. I don't know if the Hound will ever go for that, but I could see that. That's the man she most thinks about all the time.
Uh-huh.
That she doesn't even. It's subconsciously too. It just pops in her head. And it's not even something that she dwells on. So it's a little seed. She even starts thinking he kissed her when that never happened. She just adds it in there. She romanticizes it because he's one of the few true knights. That's
Hmm.
something you could say.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, and
And I
then
mean, I'm not trolling Catherine. I see what you mean, Catherine. Like I said, I don't know that she'll necessarily be queen, but she's gonna be the one of the people to lead them, like to lead everyone. She's set up for that. And
yeah.
hey, I could be wrong. I'm not saying that, but that's what the foreshadowing shows. That's what her story arc tells me. And usually I'm semi decent on that. I'm not as good as Sasa as predicting stuff though. Hey, I didn't say I was a Sansa fan. I'm just saying what her story arc's doing. I look
There's
at it a little more objectively. I see how you can get emotional about it.
yeah,
I try not to because, like,
there's a reason why Sansa is alive still. There's an absolute reason why she's still alive. It's not just because they need survivors in the end. Really, if we're being honest. Like, she could have died multiple times at this point, and she hasn't died yet. So, not saying that because
well,
there's like we've talked about before, there's almost those three schools of thought when it comes to the ending of this. It's or almost four. It's John and Danny get to live the Disney ending. John or Danny gets to also live without the other, and they raise the magical baby. Both of them die. The magical baby exists, and there is the regents until said baby is in existence and old enough. Or there's option four, which is the one that I've been working on. I still haven't gotten out yet, and I don't think I'll get it out until season 8 begins. But it's the whole three queens thing. So yeah.
no, that's a good. Just touch on a couple of comments. So, Teal Angel, Arya is the sword, and Sansa is the shield, and Littlefinger is the leather jerkin because he's been skinned. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and Catherine says they only kill off the good characters. Kidding you guys. Hey, you can make an argument for that. Honestly, they only kill off the good characters because they have killed off a lot of the strong actors that we have seen and a lot of the characters we love. So that's not a bad observation, even though you are playing around and it is very funny. Um, what else haven't we talked about? I know we've been going
I
crazy.
think we've kind of
Oh,
talked about
Littlefinger
everything.
is the assless chaps. Yes, that's even better.
And no,
Oh,
I think we kind of talked about everything. It's just the hard, just the
yeah.
Viserion turning into a white dragon.
Oh, I do have one thing to say about that. The way the Night King, and I don't like this, but this is what I've seen, and I'm just telling you what I've seen. The way the Night King stared at White Viserion was a lot like the wonderment we've seen in Bran's eyes before he metaphorically died. Now, I've just got a theory that hit me in the face. When the Night King touched Bran, do you think Bran's essence somehow transferred into the Night King after everything that happened at the heart tree? Because
Maybe.
after that, Bran's completely changed. Now you can argue that he took on the persona of Brendan Rivers, plus all the countless numbers of children that have died, and the other Green Seers and Three-Eyed Ravens before him. But you can say that a change kind of happened in the Night King. Like you can see this, he was almost excited about touching Viserion and turning. I could almost see a smirk on the Night King's face, and this takes me back. Bran will fly, um, but it's just something I saw because so many people talk about Bran being the Night King. So I look for it, and I look for stuff that'll say he's not. But also, if you think about it, if anyone is the Night King, that is a character we know. If anyone can be it, it's probably only going to be Bran. I guess you could
Mhm.
argue John. You could, but in my opinion,
It's
it would be
kind of the
Bran. But they would
kind
have
of
to end it non-corny. I don't know. I'm talking too much. Go ahead.
no. Just I feel like with equating John to the Night King, it's almost like he would be the next one, and that just Bran is just the old one. That's kind of what it is. But yeah, I see Viserion, um, Blue Flame, or Ice. But we'll talk about that on Sunday, actually. Um, so, Johnny, I guess we'll talk about kind of our final thoughts and stuff like that, kind of slowly wrap up.
Well, final thoughts. Episode was okay. I liked a lot of the interaction, but it was very simple. And I would honestly give this like a 6 point. Can I go ahead and give my rating, I guess? 6.5 frozen dragon dongs. Um, uh, I would give it less, but I did like the scenery that we had. I did like some of the conversation. I do still love the show. Of course, I love dragons. And gosh, no, I'm gonna give it 6 frozen dragon dongs. I can't. It's a tough episode. I like it, but I don't like a lot about it. Mainly because I am a book reader, and I'm not putting that like if you don't read the books. It's just I have so many expectations from reading the books that it makes me expect something different. But that's the show's still awesome, and I can roll with it, and I still love the show and still watch it. Uh, Other than that, I mean, you can catch me Friday on my channel. Be making the link tomorrow. Uh, we'll have a segment from the Imagination Realm. Be Mackenzie L. Burns and Justin Thomas from Top Shelf Fandom will be on. We'll talking. It's a little season 8 preview show. Getting that going. Yeah, I'll be on a couple. Last
Secrets
couple
of the
episodes
Citadel.
are coming out. And then you got the Sunday, right?
Yeah, you got Sunday first, and you have Sunday.
Yeah, why are you doing that to me? Sunday, 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 Secrets of the Citadel. Immediately after the episode, I will be on Gemma's channel, Secrets of the Citadel. I'll say it again just because I've been dropping a couple of times. And that's going to be very exciting. So, about 15 minutes after I think the episode's done airing, we will be going live there. So, definitely come check that out. It's going to be a fantastically fun time. And then Mondays, every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, catch Nooners of Thrones. We will be talking about the new episode. Matter of fact, Bravosi Broadcast and Mackenzie L. Burns will be on the first episode. Let me check and make sure. Maybe, if I can. Who's
While
going
you
to
do
be on
that,
the other one?
I'll kind of read out some of the ratings that the chat has been giving us. Sly the Tank Benjamin gives this episode 7.25 sacrificial hams. Otila gives it 7 on the Rickon scale, or 7 excavated Viserions. Yeah. Did you find it? Yeah, or do you want me to give my kind of rating?
Oh, yeah, I found it'd be you, Bravosi Broadcast, and possibly Alicia Kingston. Get well, AK. I hope you feel better soon, my friend. And yeah, we got a nice lineup coming up. We have BBM, A Pack Mule, John St. Baptiste, Clarissa Thompson, Clara Gray, JR from Geek Chat 1, Justin Thomas, the Knight Who Smoked the Laughing Tree, even Sly the Tank Benjamin's going to be there. So definitely want to check out Nooners of Thrones every 2 p.m. Eastern. Like, put your headphones in, be bad. If you're at work, just go ahead and listen. You know you want to. Just do it.
Just do it for that first day, midday conversation. Yes, and we'll also be. I'll just give my rating quickly. I'll give this 7 icy ab shots. Dun dun dun. And you can find me here. Where pretty much the rest of this week we will be putting out episodes of all of the other episodes of that we have to catch up with, which will be 10, season 6, episode 10, The Winds of Winter. I did that episode with John St. Baptiste. That should be dropping tomorrow around 5 o'clock as a premiere. Don't worry about it if you can't be in the chat, because I know that's busy time for people. It's there just to have some people engaging in the chat with us. And then Friday and Saturday, we may have a double up of a episode, just because we have 2 extra episodes that need to come out. But yeah, we're gonna have some good times, and then also we'll continue on every Wednesday at 8:30. We'll be talking all the new episodes. I'll be on Johnny's channel, and we'll also, me and Johnny ourselves, will be on Justin Thomas's channel for the first episode Monday night around 8 o'clock, talking the first episode with him and Axel from Podcast Winterfell. If I believe I got that right.
Yeah, and yeah, that'd be Monday evening, right?
Yeah, around 8 o'clock.
Gracious, we got so much going on.
Monday around 8 o'clock. And yes, we'll have some new people kind of pop on for episode club for season 8. And let us know which kind of shows we want to do us to cover next after Game of Thrones Season 8. I'll always kind of ask that in the chat. If not, put it in the comments if you're coming back and you think about it for a little bit. But we will see you all in the next live stream, which will be Sunday around 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock p.m., where we'll be talking the very last episode before the new one. It's been almost 600 days, people, since the last episode. Are you ready? I don't know if I am, but yeah. And
Makani?
yeah. Anyway, we see you all in the next one, which will be a live stream. But as Johnny says, we won't be in the actual episode, but who knows? We might be. You just gotta come back and find out.
See us in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.